Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your moderator for this evening, filmmaker, writer, and year-round Martha's Vineyard resident, Dream Hampton.
Hey, oh my God, doesn't that feel? Let's give it up for the filmmakers, Nicole London and Martha's Vineyard owns Stanley Nelson. Yes, give it up to them for making us feel so good. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You want to talk about some black joy? I mean, we were starting the party before the film even, we knew, we were ready. This feels so good as a film, Stanley and Nicole, thank you. Oh, and Marcus Miller is joining us via Zoom.
Marcus.
Is he?
Hey guys.
Hey.
Well, we hear you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Should we ask Marcus some questions?
Sure,
Yeah. Let's get right to you. Hi, Marcus Miller. We thoroughly enjoyed, going on this journey with you tonight, and it's such a journey. Like, it was so wonderful how the filmmakers took us on a history lesson and gave us a chain of custody, right? Yeah, and it a lot of provenance, a lot of citation. And I just wonder, do you ever teach, Marcus? I mean, I know you are a teacher. You shared so much in this film, but do you ever teach? And if you were to lay out funk's kind of how it came to America, and would it look like what Stanley and Nicole just gave us? Can he hear me?
Can you hear us?
Your sound just got very low, sorry.
Oh, okay.
There we go, I can hear you now.
Okay,
sorry.
you can hear me now. All right, Marcus, we were talking about the journey that this film takes us on, and how many citations we get, and how we end up right back at Africa. If you were to teach someone about funk and the journey that it's taken, even in your own musical life, would it look like what Stanley and Nicole took us on in terms of this journey?
100%.
Yes.
My own personal journey was that first 10 years of my life, I was in Brooklyn. Born in Bed-Stuy, but very early, 2 years old, we moved to Southport. We moved to an area called Sheepshead Bay, right? Sheepshead Bay, wasn't a lot of black folks in Sheepshead Bay, mostly Italian and Jewish. And, going through whatever a kid who's in the minority goes through, I got a little allowance. And when I was 7 or 8 years old, the first record I bought with my allowance was James Brown's Say It Loud,
Yeah.
I'm Black and I'm Proud. Completely changed my life, right? And that story is right there in the film, so the thing completely resonated for me. Grew an afro, played the clarinet early on, but switched to the bass, and the funk was with me. So thank you guys for telling this story. You guys told it so well.
They really did. What's more important, Marcus, the bass or the drum when it comes to funk?
They act as one organism.
That's right.
Right? The bass player is the guy who communicates to the rest of the musicians what the drum is doing. He's like the translator. So you don't ever separate the two.
That's right. Thank you.
Good answer.
Yes. And the final question for you, Marcus, and then we'll let you go. And we thank you so much we wish you could be here in person. You should see the audience. You should feel how we feel right now in this room. But I was thinking about we watched George Clinton try to be a Motown, musician and then find his voice. And I was thinking about some of the artists who kind of did that in reverse. I was thinking about Donald Byrd meeting the Mizell brothers and doing Places and Spaces. I was thinking about, him as a classic jazz man making this journey into funk. Can you think of other artists who made similar journeys?
Miles Davis,
Yes,
Stanley,
absolutely.
Montgomery, there's a whole lot of them. Jazz was the black music of the 40s, the 50s. When we got to the 60s, everything was changing, not just music, because music is really just a reflection of what's going on in life, in society. So everything was changing. I'll give you an example. Miles Davis, at the beginning of the 60s, he was wearing suits with ties. They were playing very beautiful, but very European influenced music. By the time he got to the end of the 60s, he was wearing bell bottoms, he was wearing platforms, he had wraparound glasses, and he was playing his trumpet through a wah-wah pedal, like a guitar plays through a wah-wah pedal. So many musicians could not resist the funk because they had to make a transition. Like Stanley and Nicole told in the story, initially, we were all trying to be accepted, right? We were all trying to blend in with white society. James Brown and a bunch of others just changed that, and all of a sudden we could be ourselves. And a lot of musicians just said we got to make a transition, and they welcomed it. They were so happy they could just let the hair grow, let the funk grow. So it was a very special time.
Thank you so much. That's Mr. Marcus Miller, y'all. Thank you.
Marcus, thank you.
Marcus.
I just want to say one quick thing about Marcus Miller. Marcus was the first interview we did, and we had that, and he played and was so generous, and we knew that we had something because we had that interview, and that was for a long time. We just had one day of shooting that we used to kind of promote and let people know that what was coming. So Marcus was instrumental in getting this film made.
And speaking of instruments, I love how y'all got people to actually play instruments. Like these talking heads, there are a lot of filmmakers in the room, and we're all trying to turn away from talking heads or figure out a way to make it good. But y'all just conducted incredible interviews, and people did their thing in the room with y'all. It was beautiful. Thank you for that. Yeah.
That was a lot of that was Nicole, and she'll tell you how. I don't know how she convinced these people to play.
Well,
I mean,
a lot of
even
begging.
the music critics were playing.
Yeah, we got a lot of banging. We just got really lucky. A lot of musicians were just really generous with their time, and if I had asked them to bring their instruments, they did. With the promise that if you bring it, you'll be in the film more. And then other people who aren't necessarily musicians, I also, kind of worked our way. Fredara Hadley, who was here in the audience tonight.
Here. Fredara, the brilliant.
I got her to sing.
Fredara had, yes.
And I was like, well, how does Swing Low, Sweet Chariot go? And
started singing it for you.
She was like, you don't know it? But then she sang it, and then we were able to use that great piece in the film. So we just really got lucky with really generous musicians, especially like Kirk Franklin and Carlos Alomar.
I just saw Jelani Cobb. Right before the film started, I'm sitting next to Joan Morgan, and even my friend in the back, Lumumba Bandele, texted me and said, we were all saying the same thing, like I miss Greg Tate. I really, his voice, but thank you for making this film. I mean, there were so many films that you could have made, right? I want a whole documentary on Cameroonian funk, right? Of the late 70s. We didn't even get to the Brazilian funk, which I know is so important. There are so many films that you could have made just a James Brown film. Amir just made the Sly Stone film, but you all did a survey doc, another thing that's kind of hard to sell right now. And you made it's so tight. Like, shout out to your editors, I wrote their names down right here, Richard Lowe and Mark Faison. Wow, like what a seamless job. So how did you decide, when to basically get out of a scene, because you could have stayed with any one of these people for 90 minutes.
Well, I mean, we knew that we couldn't cover everybody, and we didn't want to make a film that was kind of, and then there was this, and then there was that, and then so that we had to kind of choose people, certain funk styles that represented different things. And, I mean, we're really lucky. I don't think anybody has yet, well, maybe once or twice come up and said, well, what about the well, you forgot about the, but you know, we considered all those things. We considered, you know, Cuban funk and Brazilian funk and all those things. And you know, we knew we had to go to Africa. But really, the hardest part was kind of getting the film in a form. So we had all these different pods, you know, we called them pods. So we had gospel and funk, you know, the one. And to make it kind of seamless was the big.
Baby, the mathematics on the one, we got taken to school tonight. But throughout the film, there's real politics, there's real philosophy. This is, of course, Firelight Media's, they're celebrating their 25th year. Stanley Nelson, Marsha Smith, and the whole team, you know? If you don't, you have to, you're here, so you know who Stanley Nelson is. And I always am trying to figure out what's my favorite film. Is it Miles? Is it Attica? The Black Panthers is right up in the top 3. But this is like shooting to the top.
Yeah.
And it mixes all of that. You know, we get a real analysis of respectability politics. We get, you know, real talk about freedom, about the one, the science of happiness. Talk about why funk is inherently political.
One of the main questions I would ask every person is, you know, in what ways does funk mean freedom? And I think Questlove outlines it, and it's also Nona Hendrick outlines it really well. It's our therapy. It's the way we can kind of keep going. And so there's inherently, being Black people in America, everything is political. And so that comes out through the music and how we express ourselves. So there was no way that we couldn't have that piece be in the film, because that's how we live our lives.
And I love that, although there's a real break in history, in the musical history, and a dichotomy between, say, Motown and getting free, you know, wearing platforms and diapers on stage and wigs, right? No one's throwing it away. Like, George is still saying, you know, this was the foundation. Like, there's no, it's such a loving film. It really is. I don't feel like any other, as we move forward, I don't feel we're judging the thing that came before that, right? And there could have been. You could have, like, included some of the personal history of some of the characters in this film. What about the decisions to not talk about some of James Brown's darker sides, or, you know, Prince? This wasn't that film, right? Talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a film about their music and about funk, and we say very little about the personalities. And I also just want to say, before we forget, you know, this is me and Nicole were backstage. This is our dream screening. I mean, you know,
oh my gosh,
you guys are the greatest audience ever. It's like, you know, we were waiting for this, to show the film, you know, here on Martha's Vineyard, and with a thank you so much,
We do love you, Stan.
with a Black audience, you know, a largely Black audience, but it was far surpassed anything I could have dreamed of.
If you can break a sweat before the film, then you've succeeded.
We're like, I hope the film can live up to the pre-film.
And it does. And it does so much more than that. There's a conversation happening on the island, since we're situating ourselves in place, about respectability politics. We don't have to get, if you're on the Inkwell thread arguing about the Ralph Lauren commercial, we're not about to resurrect all of that. But, not that I don't think it's an important argument and conversation being had, but the respectability politics conversation in this film is very nuanced and complex and rigorous. You know, talk about how that happened, Nicole. Were there certain questions? Like, what was your thinking around respectability politics as you were making a film about funk?
Yeah, but I would just lay that question out to people. It's like, you know, what is the, I guess, the difference between a Motown and a funk artist, or how did that kind of come about? And most artists were really introspective and giving their answers on that. So I think people did see a kind of clear delineation between what had come before and then what had really come after, because that demarcation line was so, like, cataclysmic. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that also, the people that we interview kind of saved us because, they say, Motown taught them how to dance, but of course they knew how to dance. They say Motown wouldn't let them express their political opinions, but of course they had political opinions, and those things kind of, soften it because, and then that's the truth, and Marcus talks about the underlying soul in Motown. I mean, we all listen to Motown and we love Motown, but James Brown was something different.
He was not concerned with what white folks were thinking about him. He was not concerned with the white gaze or that framework at all. And I loved when Donnie Simpson talked about hearing Say It Loud for the first time. It was what a beautiful film. I want to get into some questions from the audience. I know that y'all love this film as much as we all did. We have a microphone. Is it in the aisle or?
We have it.
Okay. All right. There's a couple of hands up here.
While we're passing the mic, I want to just say a little bit more about this is Firelight Media's 25th anniversary. We've worked with over 200 filmmakers of color over the years. We want to be going to another 25 years. And I have to say that this film would not have been made without the support of PBS and CPB and others that have been destroyed by this administration. And we can't in any way think that this is normal. This is not normal, and it's an assault on our history and an assault on us. So we have to all work with that. And if you're so inclined, Firelight, it's firelightmedia.tv, Marcia? Yes, the firelightmedia.tv to contribute to Firelight Media to help us. It's a nonprofit, of course, to help us keep our work going. Firelightmedia.tv. Thank you.
Can I go? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't even know where to begin, man. This was so awesome. It was just so awesome. I'm telling you, I was sitting over here crying because that's my whole life and what I experienced coming through all of that. But what really comes out of that for me is the revolution of our standing as a people against the tyrannical foolishness that we've had to deal with over the centuries. And I can only say and hope that this film stirs us up to stand against what we're dealing with. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
I think the other thing that we deal with it with joy and with love and with funk, and that's what the film kind of says,
It's a marathon.
No.
I don't think it's on.
Thank you. It seems like the authenticity of that beat is what the power is. The authenticity of that one beat that comes back, you tie it to Africa. That authenticity, that's the most powerful thing on the planet, authenticity. And that music has authenticity, and that's why it rings everywhere.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love that y'all ended it, that you end up back on the continent. Talk about how you arrived at an ending for the film as we pass the mic to the next question.
Why we went back to Africa? I think that we would have felt terrible if we talked about funk for an hour and a half and didn't talk about Africa.
But I love that there's a dialectic that Fela's listening to James Brown, and you cite the juju music, but I love that it's a dialectic.
Yeah, at one point we had thought of actually starting there, but then we didn't.
It's a beautiful ending, but it's a beautiful ending. Okay, did we have another question in the audience?
Yeah.
Sure. Is there a part 2?
Not unless you want to fund it.
And where would part 2? I mean, we kind of end at hip hop. I wanted to ask Marcus Miller who he thinks is funky now, but where would we go with a part 2? What is right now funk?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that, truthfully, we've said all we could say about it. If somebody else wants to make a part 2, I would be glad to help them. But I think that one of the things about this film is that Marsha, my wife and partner, we were in another screening, and she just turned to me and said, this film is relentless. And it's hard to keep it up for that amount of time. And I think we do it, but I don't know if we could have kept it up for part 2.
Yeah, or afford it.
We have 5 more minutes, but I think we can get these 2 questions in if we have the microphone.
Quick question.
Okay.
First of all, this was fantastic. Thank you. It was fun and energetic and just an amazing film. Thank you. I'm probably not the only one in this room that wants to share it with other people, like everyone I know. Is this going to be available? What's the plan here?
It debuted in April, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's available. I can't remember how right now, but
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could go to pbs.org and find the,
Yeah.
I think it's still online on PBS, but for the longest time it was available on YouTube, and one of PBS's most successful films. We had over 4 million views on YouTube alone. So hopefully they'll bring the YouTube link back.
I want to say to fight for PBS, but I don't know if that's even possible anymore. Yeah, we still do, yes. We had 2 questions, if we could get them.
Hey, I just want to congratulate.
Oh, no,
hey, congratulate Stanley and Nicole. It was transcendent. I just want to say that. And I was wondering, considering what the exuberance and celebration we felt last summer, how was the Vineyard going to handle, the trauma this past year, and just coming in, today and just feeling the balm, and just to draw out the essence of our blackness and the funk, and that is a healing energy. It's politics, it is in the healing power of what you've given. So I just want to say it's an extraordinary work. It's the transcendent work. And so thank you.
Thank you.
so much. Thank you.
It's funny that you should mention last summer, because the anniversary was just yesterday, I think, of the Montgomery uprising. So we actually did our interview with Fred Wesley in Montgomery, Alabama, a few blocks away from where that happened. And he was kind enough to take a picture with us with the folding chair. So that was really nice.
Fred Wesley is an absolute superstar in this film. And thank you for making this such a leaderful film. Again, if you're a filmmaker, you know that they want you to do a hero's journey. They want you to talk about when James Brown was little, when James Brown was a teenager, when James Brown was an adult, who James Brown beat up. They want you to tell the James Brown story. And these kinds of docs that are leaderful, that talk about Bernie Worrell, that get Fred Wesley his flowers, they talk about the band members, thank you. Thank you so much for a leaderful film, yes. Okay, so thank y'all. Did you want to say any last words, Stanley, Nicole?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
All right.
Does anybody in my family know how to get the film? I feel really bad that
Marsha, do you have any?
I don't know.
PBS Passport.
Oh yeah,
y'all.
PBS Passport. It's now behind a paywall, but it's at PBS Passport.
Keep it funky, y'all.
Thank you again.